Welcome, everyone, to the DweeBros podcast. I mentioned at the end of last year, if you hadn't had a chance to see the final podcast of 2022, I said we were replacing all of our humanity with AI. That I even let the AI kind of write some of the podcast intro last time.
It went great.
It went great, and I was hopeful for the future. Less than 30 days later, I must rebel against our AI overlords. I have an addiction
To AI?
to technology. And I went the exact opposite way of what I promised with AI and technology and letting technology run rampant in my life. I finally, I don't know if you've seen these online. My wife and I bought a phone gel where you stick your phone. Have you seen these? Do you know what I'm talking about?
You put your phone in a thing and it locks your phone up for
Yeah,
like a
you
certain
set the
time.
time and it locks your phone away and you cannot use it. Because we both realized, like we were just having discussions, it was like, we can't stop using this. TikTok the algorithm has controlled me. It has destroyed my brain, every fiber of my brain and dopamine units. So we bought one of those phone gels, have been using it, and yeah, no to technology, no to AI. We've said no. So I keep calling it my nicotine patch. I'm just trying to get off all of this. But I didn't know if you guys had seen the freaking phone gels, but
No, well, first I thought you said phone gel, and I was like, "What are you
No,
talking
yeah,
about?"
phone
It
like
sounds weird.
jail.
Jail. So,
gel.
no, I've never heard of this. I think it's a really smart idea because I've gotten a lot better lately. I got rid of Twitter, deleted Twitter. YouTube. I've been trying not to use it as much and just let myself have moments of boredom more. But those set a limit and then it'll tell you stop. Those don't work because you're like,
It was working.
It's not.
It
not right
lets you
now.
do the focus stuff on iPhone. It lets
yeah.
you do like 15 minutes or like 1 minute or to take it off for the day. If I have control over it, it's like, hey, you love cigarettes, and it's like handing the person, but it's like, I can take this away if you want. And it's like, it's already in my hand. Like the cigarette's in my hand. Why would I not do anything with it?
Yeah.
So I said, I got to go extreme. So, but what I do like about the phone gel, I'm not like advertising whatever. It was just on Amazon, but the one we got has like a see-through plastic, and you can put it face down to where you can't even do anything with it, or you can put it face up, and it has cutouts in it. So you can actually still answer like a phone call that comes through or do very basic stuff. But to actually use it, like you have to like slide it back and forth on this sling thing like a puzzle, and it's so aggravating. It is only used for like if I really, oh shoot, I needed that one thing, I'll click it, and it takes so long to do this and slide it back and forth because you only have a little cutout, so you can only touch through that little cutout.
So what happens if you have like a real emergency?
Then well, because I can still answer the phone.
Well, yeah, but like, what if you need your phone because it's an emergency?
I don't know what would constitute like an emergency, because I can.
You
still
got
do
called
everything.
911.
There's a fire.
I could still do that through like the phone. It still lets you use like the side. You can hit the side button, so you can hold that, because if you hold that, it's a shortcut to 911 or whatever. I can still use it, but it is so just aggravating that it's worked brilliantly. Everything else hasn't. But yeah, it like you said, like that did not work for me, and I had to admit that I had a problem. TikTok was the biggest thing. I could be on that thing for like hours. It would take hours on my day. So what it'll let you do is you can choose different time things. Like either you can set a couple minutes, like an hour, and you can just set it. And once you do it and like get ready to lock, it gives you a 10-second countdown. And in that 10-second countdown, you can hit the button and cancel it. Basically saying like, hey, once it's in, this is it. Like you cannot get this thing out, and it will not unlock until the time's out. So going to what if you told me 5 years ago, I'm like, that sounds what has happened, that this is a good idea, but it's a good idea.
Well, it's cool.
It's definitely neat. I have
Yeah.
I have blockers on apps that like they kicks me off, but
Yeah.
I've been a little bit more self conscious just to say, all right, I'm done for the day. Like
Yeah.
I'm already out of TikTok for the day, so I can't.
See, I had that and I could not. The dopamine is so sweet into my mind. I'm too freaked up. Like it's got me. So,
No,
but yeah,
I have those
technology.
moments. I agree with you.
Yeah, but and I still have that muscle memory. It's like I want to touch it. It's like, oh yeah, it's in the freaking thing. It's in the
Yeah,
cage.
it's in the cage.
My
These are
phone's
interesting.
chastity cage.
I may have to look
So
into these. It's interesting. I haven't had a whole lot of time to look at my phone lately because I've been really busy. Um, and that's kind of something I wanted to share on the intro. Was I made a game this last week.
and this is your second one you've
This
made.
is the second game I've made. Yeah, I made my first game with my buddy Nathan in 2021. And then this was with the same guy, and then worked with my sister. And so we added one more person to our group, and we made our second game. So this was part of a game jam. And it's actually right now, the game is up on the Game Jam site, and there were 24 entries. So other developers of other games can kind of go and play each other's games, and they're doing voting. So when you make a game, it is a great compromise in the end of how much can you physically get done in a 7-day window, because we had nothing on day 0 and we wound up with a game day 7. So there are things that we wanted to do in like a post-release patch, but the game is locked. Like you cannot edit the code right now because it's in that voting kind of environment.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing a game of the month. I guess we're doing a not game of the year, but game of the month or whatever, post jam update. But that should time up well with this podcast going up. So I'm going to share it out. If you want to check it out, the game is called The Travelers. And it is our first game was kind of a point and click first person game. But kind of 2D and like very like panels, like pixel art. This is full 3D, full movement in the environment kind of thing. So a lot of new challenges. I did all the music. I wrote 6 pieces of original music for this. I did probably 3 to 4 times the number of sound effects I did for the first game, and it was a lot of fun. So yeah, I'll have that up, and it's I enjoy making these. I think I'm going to be doing some more of these kind of this year. I've been doing maybe 1 a year, but I want to maybe do 3 or 4 a year. I really like doing it a lot. It's a lot of fun.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thank you.
We'll check that out. Video games. Some people have been busy. Some people have been laid off. And that would be 343 is in the news yet again. So there've been a lot of layoffs in tech in general with Twitter and Microsoft and everything. I think every single big company has been touched by this, but it trickled down to 343, and there was kind of a lot of reports coming out, people coming to clarifying some stuff, but 343 has had some big layoffs, and a lot of people have been leaving. Like some of the key, I feel like every day this past week have been like some key people have left. 343, there was rumors at first of them almost being babysitters almost to like these other companies coming in and doing Halo. But it looks like they are resetting Halo, which I saw a comment and it was like, what reset are we on? Because they made this seem like Halo Infinite was like, hey, for the next 10 years, this is like our big plan. I've learned after freaking Destiny that once they say a 10-year plan, I go, this is 2 years tops. That is the new auto, like my brain auto completes that this will be a 2-year thing. But they are changing to Unreal, and it's going to be a focus on multiplayer, which I think is a bummer for some people, but also at the same time, Halo is primarily known for its multiplayer, but I always loved the single player as well. But yeah, lots of changes with 343 in that.
Yeah, that company is in an absolute shambles, and
They
they can't figure out what their identity is, what they're going to even focus on. And to be honest with you, I heard someone say this the other day. They have all the assets available to make millions if they just take what they did with Halo Infinite and just threw a BR in it, and they just still won't do it.
That's all they need
Like,
with the VR.
well, it's dead serious. It's the current model that's working.
I think that Halo Infinite I enjoyed. It just was like goofy update after goofy update. It's the same thing with that kind of happened with the Legacy or the Master Chief Collection. They can't figure out updates for some reason or fixing this stuff because like hey, we're gonna do Forge, that got delayed. Hey, we're gonna do co-op, it's gonna be, and everything kept getting pushed back. And it's like you said,
It's poor
Jacob,
resources.
you have so many resources with Microsoft. It's like, what happened? Who's the leadership there? Like, it's been like a failure leadership wise. I think they're extremely talented people. And I feel bad for the layoff people. Like, I think the legitimate people that are building this stuff are talented, but let me say this: bozos at the top. Bozo alert! Big bozo alert! Like, but the people are good that are creating it. But
yeah, I mean, I gave Halo Infinite my game of the year in that year, 2021.
Yeah,
2021. I still stand by that. I played the crap out of that multiplayer the first 2-3 months it was out, and I really love that campaign. I think it's a top 3 campaign for me. If it may be right after the original trilogy, but I think the campaign itself is better than the campaign in the second game. I put it with Halo 1 and 3. Loved it. I loved playing that game. I was looking forward to co-oping with you, Zach, and I may go back and play it at some point if they don't have co-op or not. I haven't installed
co-op's finally added. They have it finally.
And I would really like to do that because it was so much fun. Like,
yeah, I definitely want to check it still out.
It was great.
Yeah.
But I agree, they don't know their identity because they were talking about this 10-year plan, and it's almost like they felt like that was the buzzword everybody wants to hear. Like there was a directive from Microsoft, like you need to have a service plan for 10 years. And it just wasn't that kind of game. Like, it just isn't. Halo doesn't need to be that kind of game. Just make a campaign, make a set of maps, get us Forge and get us co-op, and we're good. And it's like, how many resources went to the battle pass and to all these weird fiesta events and like all these weird things that was like, put your focus on like the core things, like the very core things. Give us a few more maps than you did at launch. And like, I don't know, like if Halo Infinite as it is on the disc launched in 2008, and I know like graphics and stuff, I think that the appetite for what a game needed to be back then, it would have been good. It would have sufficed. Yeah. But today people have this dopamine mindset and they set themselves up for this by saying it'll be a 10-year game and we're going to do this. It'll be like Destiny basically. And they shouldn't have said any of that because they're not prepared to deliver any of that. And I think it's a leadership and a marketing thing. What they had was actually a good game, but it's like a one-time release thing. And they didn't get co-op in and Forge in, which is a critical failure.
You know what it felt like? It felt like all year as a kid, you're asking for 3 toys from your parents. And they're like, maybe we'll get it for you. And Christmas comes and you open up all your gifts and nothing's there. And they're like, for your birthday, I think you might be getting those gifts. And it's like, what?
Well,
don't even lead us on. Don't even talk about it if you're not going to like get there to everything. It was just every update. And I just remember in the group chat, I was like, every update I see about this game is like bad news. That's not good. Like we're not doing this on time. We're not doing that on time. We're not doing this on time. And it's like, shut your mouths then. Like, don't tell the kid you might get him that present. Oh, maybe if you wait, you're going to get it for Christmas. Yeah. You didn't get it. Why did you do that to little baby boy me?
Well, and again, I just think it really does go back to a lack of vision that is coming from a person or a very small set of people that have the influence to execute the vision and the buy-in from whoever it is, even if it's Phil Spencer or Phil Spencer's boss. Like there was all these different thoughts about what this game needed to be, what it was going to be, and I think it's a miracle that the game that came out was as fun to play and as good as it was, but it sucks. And now they're rebooting again. And it's like, okay, like, and it's going to be it's going to be all new people that do this next one. It's like, that's what's shocking to me is the code base. Is this game really so fragmented that you can't build from what you already released? That is crazy.
Yeah, and it's going all on Unreal now, and it's like, see, in 4 years, I guess 5 years. So
It's a bummer.
good luck with all that. But yeah, I feel bad for like the legit talent there, and goodbye bozos that made those decisions. But you can kind of even tell, like, with all these like lead people, this person left, this person left, this person was brought in to save everything, and they did a good job. That person's left, that person's left. And it's like, smoke where there's smoke, there's fire. Something.
Well, at what point?
Like,
what is
you know what I mean?
343? At a certain point, what is it?
Yeah,
It's not a company anymore. It already was this made up, put together company to make Halo 4, 5, and 6, which they made 3 games, so they did that. I don't know why they have no equity. They have no brand. What is like? Why not just dissolve them?
I have a feeling
I don't understand.
I have a feeling that is what is leading up to, because all the lead talent is leaving. Like you said, what's going to be left? I think they're slowly going to close that studio, and they're going to figure out what the frick to do with Halo and get somebody else on it, or I don't know. But
here's what you do, Microsoft. Have somebody, whether it's part of 343 or a new group, whatever, if you want a multiplayer, come up with a live service Halo multiplayer game that's sustainable and functional to be that live service version, and then hire id to go make a Halo single player game.
Yeah, something.
Can you imagine if the Doom people went and made a Halo game? That'd be insane.
Yeah.
Isn't Rare still around? What are they? Couldn't you give it to Rare or something? I mean,
they're working on Ever Gone or Ever Blonde.
How long? They've been working on that forever.
Yeah, well,
forever gone.
They showed a trailer, and we all were like, interesting. And then a year later, they showed another trailer, and they said they still didn't really know what the gameplay was going to be. And I was like, I feel like that's where you start. Like, you should start with what's the gameplay going to be. But
yeah.
Gaming sucks right now, but okay.
They made Sea of Thieves. They got that going. I actually, to me, it depends on what you want out of gaming. I have more small to mid-sized games to get to and to play, especially through Game Pass and indies I've been gifted on Steam. I have plenty to play. I will say at the top end, Sony has been... I mean, I know they made God of War, and I didn't play that, and that's fair. Last year, it was basically God of War and Horizon. Horizon sucked, and I didn't play God of War, and I don't really know what's on the radar for them this year. It's kind of drier, and Xbox has nothing big first party.
They got Spidey coming. I know that, but that's it.
Spidey, it's dry enough that I'm like, I may check out Redfall. I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Hey,
like,
you know what? Sony does have something coming, and it's called the PSVR 2, and they're making a ton of them. Actually... Maybe not. So a report came out, and immediately Sony came out and busted the door open to reply. Fast as I've seen, at least in this like climate right now of like news cycle stuff, that I've seen anybody reply. So I was like, oh, maybe something, whatever. A report came out because people have been saying like, who is buying the PSVR 2? Now I'm getting it day one, but even I understand this thing is more than the console that it connects to in the climate of inflation.
Yeah.
So, and they don't have like mega hits on launch. There is enough for me to where I love the stuff that they got, but I understand completely people waiting and not buying it. So they came out, Bloomberg came out with a report. Jason Schreier, shouts out to him, our favorite game journalist, said, hey, they're cutting production. It was like 2 million, and they're cutting down to 1 or something like that. I think it was 2 million they were expected to sell, and now projections have went to 1 million, whatever. I feel like that same day, within like the same 3 hours, Sony came out and was like, this is not true. None of this like is happening. This is not true. So I don't know who to believe. I do wonder where they're getting the numbers from, because I guess that is more than the PSVR 1 was projected. I just think you're just going up with that price and how hard it is. We just now in the past, I feel like month, got access to PS5s more easily.
Yeah.
And then pair that with inflation, all this stuff. It's like maybe later on, that's definitely like a goal that you can hit. You can hit that goal, but it's like, I don't know, maybe it's like ambitious for a launch.
It's kind of crazy right now because VR is kind of down right now in general. Meta is already like they're cutting back on production as well, because they just raised the prices last year for all their headsets $100, and they're down 2% for their sales, which means vice versa. Meta's by large like 75% of the VR
They also
market.
put out that giant, the $1,400 one.
Yeah, which that one they already said that one's not like one that's meant for the general consumer. It's meant for businesses and educational purposes. But when you have the 75% giant of the market share already down in VR, it's not a good look for you. It's not a good thing. And not like PSVR was already a headstead. Because the problem with PSVR is that the only games that they have that, when you talk about dedicated gaming VR headset, you better have the best games available. And they don't. They have, I think, 3 games that are PlayStation exclusives, which is a Gran Turismo 7 version, which is just Gran Turismo 7, but with the ability to wear a VR headset. You have Horizon.
Which is very cool because people, when that was first announced, people were like, is that going to be 4 tracks? And like 3, and it's the full game.
It's the whole game.
You can do the whole game,
which is awesome, but it's still Gran Turismo 7. It's nothing special. It's just 7 in VR. Horizon, which is completely different, which that's a big deal. That is a big deal. I'll give them that.
That's their biggest game. That's their biggest game for sure.
But they also have RE8, which, if I'm correct, RE8, it won't be like 7. It will be where you can actually use your hands, which would be a big deal because using that in Resident Evil 4, that made the game way better. If it was like Resident Evil 7 where I can only use the controller, the immersion factor isn't there. But if it's like what I've heard is you can use your hands, that's the ideal method of playing.
What you just mentioned is probably the biggest ones. And then for me, I also am interested. The Resident Evil I can't do. Too spooky. But Moss Book 1 and 2, so they're porting the first one over. And 2 I skipped because I could not get those cables hooked back up for the PSVR 1. So I'll be experiencing that for the first time.
Nice.
Which will be upgraded.
They're porting Job Simulator, which I'm excited to some of these ports because that one thing, like versus what they have now with the new controllers that are designated for this headset, I'm really excited about.
The biggest thing when you look at like VR capabilities, which is something just anyone who's listening, I don't know if you guys ever follow this. I think VR is one of my favorite forms of gaming. It's I love sports and I love VR. I think that's just where I'm at now. But the reason my meta is so in front of everything is they've been developing apps that go past the gaming. So, for example, like they give out Oculuses to like schools that are tech schools, and they'll have programs that are built into them that simulate surgeries, that simulate automotive technical problems. So they put these headsets on, and they have a car in front of them, and it's a legitimate model that they work through the problem in the car. So it's like hands-on learning, which is an AR capability as well.
Yeah.
But that's just one of those things that's what's going to expand the market. But we won't know more until Apple's going to throw their hat in the ring here in the next 2 years.
Yeah. I think it's this year. I think it's this year they're going to have. Now, they're rumored that thing is going to be like $1,400. So,
but it's the same thing. It's the same thing for the Quest. The Quest Pro. It is a learning. It's a business thing.
Yeah.
I mean, again, this is where you go through things. When something new gets introduced, like when the microwave first got introduced, the microwave when it first got introduced was like $5,000. Like it's one of those things where it's so brand new that, of course, the technology is going to be expensive, but it's the people who invest in the technology that get the most benefit out of it.
I'm going to bring the microwave, the Sony's microwave.
I want to check it out. I do think it's going to be a great piece of gaming device, but in terms of all-purpose VR, you got a lot of work to do, Sony.
Well, I'll let you guys know when I get that headset on, it's not coming off.
As far as the report and the denial, I feel like this is one of those deals. If there's smoke, there's fire, because normally if something comes out and it's false, it was planted by somebody that wanted to get at a competitor. Nobody's competing with Sony in the space. VR people want VR headsets to sell because they want growth in the sector. So like nobody's trying to, convince people, hey, don't buy a PSVR. Even Meta, like they probably cheer on anybody in the space because they want the sector to grow.
Yeah.
So, and the faster the denial, the more smoke there is, I think. Like they're hyper aware of how they're being perceived because they don't want people returning their pre-orders. And if I am somebody that bought the PSVR 1, which I am, I was lukewarm on how much support it got. I mean, it got support, but it did feel like there was like a big push for a couple of years.
It felt like the PS Vita.
And then it fell off. And they don't want people thinking before they even have the device it's going to be the same thing again. They're already cutting production on them. This is going to be a 2-year thing, so I get it, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I understand how that can be a true report, though, for sure.
I mean, while they're cutting back, not really. So is Nintendo's increasing their productions. So
and
maybe...
this is bummer news for me because I was team 2023, team Switch 2 with Tears of the Kingdom, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. That is, the dreams have been dashed, destroyed, and stomped underfoot from Ganon because they are increasing the production of the original Switch, the McDonald's toy from 2017 that we all enjoy so much. Is increasing in production, which means we're not probably getting a Switch 2 this year. And it looks like 2024 because another report that came out said they are at the beginning talks with suppliers and stuff for the Switch 2, which probably puts them, if they're just now starting those discussions, people said it's probably 2024 at the earliest.
Well, here's what I would say. I bet it's 24. I am not convinced we're getting Tears of the Kingdom this year. Hot take.
It's supposed to be coming May, dude.
There's a tweet the other day from this other Nintendo, like Australia, and they're like, "Hey, this is coming out in 100 days or something."
They're marketing people. They don't freaking know anything.
I know, but you would slow down that marketing if it's not happening.
Not necessarily. No, not necessarily at all.
Okay.
I don't think Nintendo of Australia is in the know about. I don't know if it's getting delayed a full year. It could be like a February, like with the new Switch. I'm just saying, we have seen shockingly little of this game that's coming out in May.
I agree with you, but
we've seen nothing about this game.
They keep saying that it's coming, and it keeps popping up. So I think it is. I don't know, but you could be. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
There's a lot of people waiting on something that's supposed to be coming.
How long has Bethesda been making a space game?
I don't know for sure. Obviously, I don't work there, but. That's my first thought. My second thought is, and we may be just on different pages. So I see you guys chatting about this. I mean, I want to Switch 2, and I would prefer to have it with Tears of the Kingdom. If Tears of the Kingdom comes out before the Switch 2,
keep talking and give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
If Tears of the Kingdom comes out before the Switch 2, I'm gonna just play it on the Switch. Like I see a lot of, like, in our chat, like, people, you guys are like, no way.
Yeah,
I'm playing other things. I'm playing Pokemon Arceus. I'm playing other stuff. It's fine. I mean, I'd love to have the Switch too, but I like playing those games on the Nintendo hardware. I don't
see. This is where, like, for me, my snobbiness is too much. I'm not paying $60 to $70 for a game that runs below 30 frames. I'm no longer doing it. I refuse to do it. It's unacceptable at this point.
How do you know what the game's going to run at?
I have the original game, the bitch market. I would be impressed, but there's yet to be a game on the Switch that has been a massive game that runs over 30 frames.
Xenoblade ran really stably, my understanding.
Yeah, but not like.
And Xenoblade's developer is Monolith. They help on Breath of the Wild and the sequel.
I'm not pre-ordering it. I'm waiting, and if I can, I'm be honest with you, if I can emulate it, I'm emulating it. I'll buy the game out of, like, the right of, like, I'm not supporting piracy, but I have a Steam Deck now, and so I have a beefier Switch than ever.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
It just makes more sense for me.
Zach, I was saying I'm just gonna play it on the Switch. I don't.
I am like, I'm on Jacob's side a little bit because after playing Breath of the Wild emulated, it does change you. It does change you.
The game is so
in my mind, I just have such a reality distortion field. I was like, no, it's 2023. We're getting a Switch Pro, and we're getting that Tears of the Kingdom as a launch title, and that's not happening now. And I feel just like when 343 told all this stuff, and I'm like the little kid at Christmas.
Well,
even though Nintendo never said anything, it's all created in my head. I thought.
How long is it going to take you guys to realize with Nintendo, have no expectations, and you'll always be pleasantly surprised?
Yeah, but like
You guys
never. I'll always be mad at them.
Yeah, you always set yourself up.
It's been years. It's been years, and
there's only one franchise I care about when it comes to Nintendo more than anything, and it's Zelda. I'm just really protective of that franchise, and Breath of the Wild didn't do it for me. Mainly one because of the performance, but so now I'm already like I'm just down. So like I don't want to play this game anymore. Down.
I will buy it day 1, 2, and hopefully emulate it. I don't know. We're gonna see. They might do a Switch Pro. They might delay this game. I don't know what's gonna happen.
No,
but
you're not getting a Switch Pro until 2024, 2025. I'm telling you, that's the truth. Like, I think NVIDIA, there was just a thing in NVIDIA where they just finished their new like graphics card that was the Tegra something. So if that's just the case, like you're not getting anything for another year and a half. You have to look that up. I don't know if that's. I'm trying to remember what it's called. I know that the Switch runs on the Tegra graphics card, but I'm pretty sure they just finished the new version of it.
The only other thing I would say is just one other angle. They continued to use the 2DS when the 3DS came out. If it's a Switch Pro, that's not mutually exclusive of there being a base model Switch still, and they both run the same games.
Absolutely.
So I don't know that ramping up Switch means that they're not like they might just be ramping up for another kind of 2-3 year cycle of Switch Pro and Switch side by side.
If we had a Pro
SKUs,
let's be honest. If there was a Pro, we would know about it right now.
How do you know that?
In today's world, we would know about it.
Well, I think what happened was they did have something, and I think like COVID, and I think that production stuff, like supply side stuff, happened because a lot of people came out. All these developers like, it's coming. There's a Switch Pro, and there was where there's smoke, there's fire. But I think what happened with all that supply stuff, they had to scrap it, and then it had taken so long with COVID and the supply stuff. They're like, we're just going to focus on Switch 2. That's what I think a lot of people are saying now is like, there was that did exist, but they just said, frick it, whatever. So, I mean, we'll see what's going to happen.
I'm playing Travis to counter argument like what you said about Arceus. I'm playing Arceus right now at 60 frames on my Steam Deck, and it's enjoyable. But I saw what that game was running at beforehand. I couldn't have played it before. I just couldn't. That's just me.
Yeah, I don't know. That makes sense. I mean, I'm not saying the Switch games perform well. I mean, I'm playing Shin Megami Tensei 5 on it, Pokemon Arceus, but there's a charm to the Switch. It's my Nintendo console. I like that system. I like it's snappy. I like going through I liked it better when I had my OLED before it got freaking jacked off of me. But
well, that's a phrase. I mean, like that must have been somewhat pleasurable.
I want to hear that story. Yeah, tell me that.
Yeah. Obviously, I'm a big Switch fan. If that's what's going on. So.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Switch them up a bit, dog. Switch them up.
Let's talk games. Like not games news. Yeah, games we've been playing.
Hey, Resident Evil 4 is coming out, but. Why not just play the original? That's what I chose to do.
Yeah.
There we go.
For Hangouts, we have been since October, off and on. There was points we took a little breaks or whatever here and there for other games. Me, Pierce, and Matt played through the entirety of Resident Evil 4 and streaming. Check that whole thing is on our channel. And I finally beat it this past week. And I liked the game. It also showed me it was a good time for a remake to come out. There was certain points I was banging my head against the monitor. So that was fun. But Pierce and Matt loved the game, so they were able to... the funniest thing is they were like, they loved the game and they've played through it so many times, but there was times I would be stuck for 25 minutes and then Matt would go, oh, sorry, I was doing something. Like I was like kind of half paying attention, half doing this. Yeah, you should have just did this. Like I could have saved you 25, 30 minutes in the stream. So they were sometimes the least helpful people, but the most experienced with Resident Evil 4 to play with. But no, we had a really fun time playing it. Really enjoyed the moments with the old little man-child guy in the castle. It felt like a weird Metal Gear boss at times.
The Codex conversations with him too. It's just so ridiculous.
And then we also determined at this very end, this last stream, I was like, you're on that island. they have guns now, like the zombie people have guns and are shooting at you, and I was like, no. What is it with some of these Japanese developers? They can't stick the landing with their games. Like they can't wrap it up and get the frick out. Because freaking Final Fantasy is the same way. You're doing stupid stuff that's like aggravating, and you're like, it's time to wrap it up and land the plane.
Yep.
And like they're always like, it's doing the stupid thing. It's like I should have been wrapped up already.
The zombie, the Ganado mercenaries.
Yeah, it's like, what are we doing here? But all that said, we will be checking out the remake on the stream at some point soon. I don't even know when that comes out. It's this year, I think.
March, maybe?
Yeah. But I definitely won't be playing all the way through it. I think I've got my fill of Resident Evil 4. But classic game that needed polishing. It was starting to rust a little bit in some places. So
that would make sense. And
then I played Crisis Core. And beat Crisis Core over Christmas break. That game is a Kingdom Hearts game in disguise. The story is stupid at times, but at the same time, it has those moments like in Kingdom Hearts where like this is very cool, but very stupid. There is like points where they kind of talk about like you get to see Cloud for the first time and like his his origin story and like his sword and all this stuff, like certain things, like how did this happen? How did these characters meet? That was fun. That was really fun. If you're a fan of Final Fantasy VII, I think definitely check this out. It is a PSP game from 2007 that if I would have played then, I'd be like, oh my gosh, this is like an amazing, incredible game. Now I play it and it feels like Final Fantasy VII, like a Diet Coke version of Final Fantasy VII Remake. But it is so redone that it is almost an entire remake. But if you look at the comparisons, they just put new textures and they updated certain like quality of life stuff. It's crazy the bump in graphics that they took from a PSP game. Once you compare the two side to side, it is like they're still using like the same. It's not like a full remake. Oh my gosh! So I was really impressed with like that level of it, but it is a stupid game.
Didn't that kind of make you wonder, like, what is possible with some of those, like, heavy retexturing remasters?
Yeah. I think that's the most impressive one I've ever seen. Has to be Crisis Core.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at those comparison videos, it's jaw-dropping.
Was The Last of Us 1 remake like that? Like, where they basically still use the same game and then they retextured everything?
And I will say those two are, like, neck and neck of, like, very impressed. I would say, actually, they did more like adding stuff and changing entire like design stuff in the Last of Us one, whereas Crisis Core is like, you'll be surprised, like this is a lot of texture stuff, like ungodly jump in textures where they use Final Fantasy VII Remakes assets and slapped them on there. Both are really, really fantastic remakes.
I think Demon Souls is still the one that is the most shocking because it is the same game. It is the same.
What is that? Sorry, the
Demon Souls.
Yeah,
Demon Souls is another one. Yeah,
that one is so shocking, and it's the same game. When you play it, it's the same code running the gameplay, but all of the graphics and audio and even some animation stuff they changed. Incredible, absolutely incredible.
Those three are all like, oh my gosh, how did you do this? This is a new bar for remakes. And the last thing I played, and then this is all I played for the month. On Sundays, I almost started up as like, I was kind of bored on one Sunday and I was like, I'm going to start this up. It's Dark Cloud 1. So Dark Cloud 2, I've talked about on the channel. I really love Dark Cloud 1. I still really like, but less than I think Dark Cloud 2 is better, but it's a game where your town gets ripped apart by this genie and the entire town gets put into these things called dioramas. And you have to go into these like randomized dungeons. It's an action RPG. You find these things in the dungeons, and then you come out, and you start to piece together back your town. And you go and do this for the rest of the world. That's what the game is.
That's cool.
And I've always loved this concept. It's never been like duplicated in any other game. That's why I love those, 1 and 2 for this series. So you will start to put down like a house, and it's like, okay, you'll find like a person, you'll put the person in the house. And then when you talk to the people outside their house, you're like, tell me how to rebuild your house, or how to rebuild the village. If you tell them to rebuild the house, like here's the materials they need. Okay. If you ask them like how to rebuild the town, it's almost like a puzzle. So they'll say like, so for instance, on one of the townspeople, they're like, I like when when I wake up in the morning, the sun rises on my bedroom window.
Oh,
So
cool.
you have to turn the house the way that the sun comes up because there's a day and night cycle in the game.
Nice.
So you have to piece together and make everybody happy. So it's like, okay, well, I need to move this here. Oh, she needs to be surrounded by like fence and stuff. You need to fence her whole entire like yard and stuff. So yeah, I started that up as like, I'm just gonna check this out. And now for the past like 4 Sundays, I've played it as my cozy game. I don't know if I would recommend, like, I would come in this game knowing it's average, but that element I've never seen duplicated, and it is so cozy of a game.
Yeah.
That like if you're into like very low stress thing, I think this is very fun.
Well, I always knew of Dark Cloud because the cover looked like Link, and I called it like PlayStation Zelda.
Yeah.
And then Dark Cloud 2, you told me about when we first started hanging out in like 2015.
Yeah.
And you were gushing about like some time passing by system with it. And I bought the remake for PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
And I have it. I still have never played it. So that might be something I check out. Could I just jump in with that second one if I wanted to check it out? I'll probably just check it out, and if I like
I would
it,
do
I'll
the second
stick
one.
with it.
I would jump in the second one. The second one, the only difference, well, there's a lot of differences actually, but like with the Giorama stuff, with the building stuff, that's still there, but they have made it. That's what I was saying. The time warp. You'll place a house down and get some stuff, and then you can jump time. And depending on what you did in that thing, there'll be like, the village will be bigger. This person will be there. It changes the entire like scenery of that thing. So I've never seen a game ever duplicate it. So very cozy game. I'm not saying it's the best game. It might not be for everybody, but I love it. But
there's so many, on that note, there are just so many games from PlayStation 2, Xbox, GameCube, maybe even the generation before that are just kind of forgotten. Like people aren't like making YouTube essays. I mean, some people are maybe, but there's just not tons and tons. And like, I watched a video recently, and it was like, PS2 games that were really good that you've never heard of, and it was like 10 of them, and I really had never heard of any of them. And it was like, there are so many things from those consoles that are still worth going back and checking out, especially in a day like today where not a lot of games get made that way, that are kind of. And some of them they have goofy stuff, but that's cool. That's really cool. All right. I have a game. I don't know if I'd call it a cozy game, but I've been playing it kind of late at night, a little bit here and there when I have an hour or I have 30 minutes. And it's called Citizen Sleeper. It's on Game Pass. That's how I found it. And it's very much an indie developed game. But it's got a really cool art style, and basically the way it works is there's like a diorama of a space station, and it's like a giant ring. And so like you use the left thumbstick to kind of like go around the ring, and then use the D-pad to like select different destinations on the ring. And the story is basically, the game's called Citizen Sleeper, and you're what's called a sleeper. So you're sort of like a robot. But what you really are is, in this world, it's this kind of like futuristic sci-fi world. People go into debt with companies. And when you get into so much debt that you really can't work it off in your lifetime, you can sign a sleeper contract with the company. And basically they put you into deep sleep, but then they emulate your mind on a robot, and that robot does slave labor for however long you have to do to pay off your debt. And then when it's paid off, they get rid of the sleeper and they wake you back up, and you can go back to living your life. And I mean, in reality, once they get you doing that, they find clever ways with the money and stuff to kind of keep you sleeping. But basically you are one of those. You're an emulated person on a robot, and you have no memories. Like, it's not really about the person that you're based on, but you're an emulated person. And the game starts, and you have escaped wherever you were, and your mind was wiped, and you're on the space station, but you don't know anybody. Like, your body is breaking down. Like, the company that created you has like this stimulant that if you don't take it, your body falls apart. So like the first thing, you're like, you have 7 days to like figure out where you're going to get that stimulant, and like you go and you find this doctor, and like you talk them, you have to try to find a way to talk to them, and they're not turning you in, but you'll do some stuff for them to get this stimulant. You're trying to get jobs, and there's a bounty hunters coming after you and stuff, but you don't like walk around in third or first person. It's like a menu, like you're looking around, and every day it's called a new cycle. You wake up and you have 5 dice, and they're 1 through 6, and they're at the top, and they're random 1s, 2s, 6s, whatever. And you basically go around all these different, events on the map. And it's like, okay, play the stock exchange, and you could throw in a 6 or you can throw in a 2, and you have higher chances of something good or bad happening depending on. So if you only have 1 6 for the day, and you got to eat, you got to try to get some money, and you got to try to do this, it's like, where do I put my 6 or where do I put my 4? And you're basically plugging these dice in, and they're generating results, and then you're having conversations with NPCs that's all kind of text-based, and they've got like art, and they talk to you. So I'm on like day 39. The cycles are not very long. I've probably played 3 hours, so maybe like 5-10 minutes a cycle. It's pretty snappy. You're just going around making decisions, and then you have like quests you can track. But the goal is, to basically become truly free. Well,
to become woke.
Yeah, in a way. But basically be able to get off the space station, or basically, remove a tracker that's on your body that the bounty hunters are chasing you with. So I'm really liking it. It's definitely a writing heavy game. Like you'll trigger an event, and an NPC will pop up, and there will be a paragraph of text, and then another paragraph, and then like you'll respond, and it's like it's not like overly ridiculous, but it is a lot of reading. That's the one thing. If it was voice acted, it would be a really cozy, chill game to play. The music's nice. There's a lot of ambient noise and stuff, and space station sounds.
That's got a great
and lots of cool. Yeah, it's a great concept. A lot of cool side quests. So it's a fun game. Citizen Sleeper. I would recommend it if that sounds like something you're into, but. If you're trying to like do something more action oriented, it's not really that.
Well, I have committed full entirely. I got a Steam Deck, ladies and gentlemen. Steam's way of going portable. And man, it is awesome. It really has just made me say screw the Switch in every single imaginable way. I can play Switch games on my Steam Deck. So I've just been the past like month, I've just been sitting there tinkering with it, upgrading it, doing different things like that. I just got it to the point where I'm like, okay, this thing's working, and I can now play my PS5 off of it, which is really awesome because like I moved my PS5 to my office, and now I'm sitting on the couch playing my PS5 games, and I'm just watching TV, and it runs seamlessly. So it's honestly become one of those things where it's allowed me to start killing away at some backlog stuff that I just haven't really had time to do. So I played through Hitman 1 and 2.
Nice.
2 really good games. To my opinion, like Hitman has always been that series where like there's not really any true depth to a story. Like Blood Money is like the only time I can only remember a Hitman story, and that's just because it ends on such a cool way.
Yeah.
So playing through Hitman 1 and 2, it is just balls to the wall, just boinker crazy stuff. You can do whatever you want. It's the perfect sandbox where if you want to take it super seriously, you can. If you just want to go in there with a machine gun and just straight up, best way for me to put this is Call of Duty airport it. You can. You have complete freedom in what you want to do. So I'm currently playing through 2. I'm almost done. I'm on I just finished the Tri-Head Serpent one where you're in I don't think it's Mexico. It's some Southern America country.
Is it the one with like the fields that you can kind of hide in? That was a really good level. Yeah.
I like that mission. There's just a lot of different ways. I went the tattoo artist route first. Yeah. I don't know if you did that one or not. No, but that's why I like. There's so many different ways to pull it off.
Replayable, yeah.
And so like I go back into it and I'm like, all right, I want to play this again, but I want to try this time.
Yeah.
Or I want to do this. I want to do that. And it's funny. It just makes you laugh, and it makes me enjoy it a lot.
If you just want to play through the game, it's like 7 missions, and you can do them each in like 35, 40 minutes.
Yeah. But the game's value, I think, is in the replayability.
Sure.
I went back and replayed that mission, Travis, and one of the ways I assassinated a person, they walk into a house and it's 2 layers. I hung on the ceiling, like I hung on it, and I waited for her to walk into the room. I pulled myself up and I threw a rubber ducky in there, and I went and hang back and I exploded it. And that's all I did. That's just how I killed her. So like that right there is hilarious because I just chucked a rubber dunk in there, and she was just like, "What's this?" And she picked it up and boom.
Was it
gone.
the lady at the mail office or the patent office or whatever?
Yeah, the patent office.
Yeah. Exactly
which is just funny. It's just funny. So Hitman 1 and 2's been great. I'm gonna play 3, but I'm gonna play it in VR. I want to commit myself to playing that entire game.
A real murderer.
Yeah, I want to commit myself to playing that entire game in VR. I waited to do this because it came out in VR and they said it was kind of wonky at first, but they're just now getting to the point where it's like it's good.
Oh,
so
I didn't know that. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna play the entire game in VR.
I'll have to check that out because I played 1 and 2 back to back, and then I started 3, and I was having a lot of fun with it, but I wanted to get to some other things, and I never went back and finished it. So I picked that up on Steam recently. I'm gonna go. Maybe I'll check out the VR. Okay, you have to tell me, what was your favorite mission in 1? What was your favorite mission in 2 so far?
Okay, so 1, I think you would ask me this. I'm trying to think. There was
like Sapienza.
Sapienza. You're asking me the names. I'm trying to think of the scenario.
Sapienza is the one with like the ocean and like the church and
I remember that one. I'm trying to think of there was a pair. I think it was Paris.
Paris with the fashion show. That's the first one.
Was that one? That one was fun because I think there was a ton of like ways to go about it. But
I think I did the Paris one.
That was
the Paris.
That's
the Paris one's normal. Like that's the one that like everyone. But there was another one I thought that happened in like Morocco.
Yeah, that's a great one.
What was it though? What there was like 2 or 3 people. It was like a general. I think you had to kill.
The Morocco one was fun because there was like a riot, and then there was a general.
Yes, that's what it was.
There was a general who was like a dictator type guy you needed to kill, and then you also needed to kill a reporter at the news station. And so and they're like on opposite ends of the map.
They're all pretty good maps.
That reporter because he was filming a documentary. And I went in like I was one of the people of the crew and acted like I had to fix something at the lights. And there was a giant like buffalo thing, and I made it drop on him during the interview. That's how I killed the reporter.
That's amazing. There was another one though, where there was like I want to say like not a drug pen, but it was like a farm, and needed to kill 3 people, and there was a guy wearing a pig mask.
Yeah, Colorado.
That one was fun too because
that reminded me of Dead by Daylight kind of.
It was hard. It was really hard because they had like 3 sets of security, and you can only get into each section with a security outfit, and you can get compromised so easily. It was really difficult. So I think that one was up there for me. And 2, it has to be the racetrack one so far.
That is crazy. That map is nuts.
It's nuts, and there's so many different ways to complete it.
Yeah.
My favorite way to complete it so far has been the pink flamingo. I don't know if you did that version yet. Oh, you run around a pink flamingo suit, and it is hysterical.
The guy that's promoting the race, you get that suit.
It is funny. Absolutely hysterical, especially because the stuff you can do in it. So yeah, I like that one a lot. That was probably my favorite. I'm almost done. I have like 2 more missions left in 2. So we're getting through it.
Such a good game.
Nice.
Yeah, highly recommend them. But I'll let you guys know how 3 goes once I start. I haven't touched my VR in a minute, so that'll probably be the first game I'm gonna dust off and play it through. But on my Steam Deck, I have Linux is really cool because you can do a lot of different things with it. There's a thing called EMU Deck. EMU Deck is an all-in-one port that goes into Steam.
That.
Yeah, it goes into Steam. So you load it up from Steam, and it has all of your emulators and has all of your ROMs all in one thing, and it opens them up automatically. And I have been playing through a bunch of different games. It runs GameCube games like a dream. It's like 1-in-1. It gives you widescreen hacks. It gives you all the stuff you need, and I have yet to have an issue with it. So I've been playing through Wind Waker, the GameCube edition, which is a lot harder than the Wii U version of it. The Triforce pieces are a lot more like harder to get. It's a bear of a game.
I just stopped playing when I got to the point. I was like, all right, I'll be back in a year.
Can I be honest with you?
Slam the brakes on that point.
You know what I miss? I miss the Swift sail, the sail that made you go faster. Because I'm sailing and I'm like, man, as a kid, no wonder I lost focus. Like,
you can put speed up, fast forwarding. on
Yeah,
that.
I haven't tried that. I didn't know that was a
Yeah.
thing. I have to
Yeah,
dig
you can
into it.
fast forward the emulator, so that could speed it up.
Oh gosh, yeah, because it is absolutely a bear to
Yeah.
play through. But I'm probably gonna start Twilight Princess. Twilight Princess is my all-time favorite Legend of Zelda. Um, I'm
Nice.
I'm
Don't
gonna
tell
probably
Travis. His ears
yeah,
are gonna start bleeding
I
over
know.
there. You see blood rushing out of his ears.
I'm gonna play through Twilight Princess next, and I'm gonna play the GameCube version because I never played the GameCube version. And
His
I heard there was
the world is mirrored. The whole world.
yeah, I heard there was some subtle differences, so I want to check it out. I'm gonna play through that next, but that's been my kind of my like my little niche. I've also been playing Soul Calibur 2, which is probably the best Soul Calibur out of all the Soul Caliburs.
That's the one they made Link for the
They-
GameCube, didn't they?
They put Link and then they put Spawn in the PS2 version, and on the Xbox version they put Yoda
I had
and Darth Vader.
Xbox.
Oh yeah, that was Yoda on the Xbox.
Yeah.
It was green.
It was really funny. It was really cool. Playing through the weapon mastery mode with Link is really awesome because all the different weapons they gave him. Because like you have the Megaton hammer, the Biggon sword, the Razor sword, but then they made a bunch of cool little like you'll never see him again kind of weapons like the Cane of Hyrule and different things like that. So playing through that, it's been really more of a casual playthrough. Hasn't really been like I'm sitting down and really grinding through it. Travis, I was going to let you know though, I am on year 27 of Retro Bowl. I don't know if you're still grinding.
Hold on, let me see what year I'm in. Hang on.
I logged on. I've been playing less and less, but I've been logging on. I've been really grinding it, and I've made it my goal to win 3 Super Bowls with each team now.
I'm on year 28. How crazy is that?
Dang, dude. Okay, you're farther than I am. Okay, look at you, dude. That game's
great.
It's just great, man.
Yeah.
The developer has created an amazing game, and he's so good at it. And I just wanted to give a shout out to Retro Bowl.
Retro Bowl
is a phenomenal on Switch. You can get on the Switch now too.
Really? It's just such a nice little fun, no frills, no bull crap.
Yep.
Just pixel art football, run your own little team, 10 little man roster, throw some deep balls, have a good time, man. Lose in the playoffs and curse because it's like comes out of nowhere.
Because then you have to do it all. There's no simulating games. You have to play all the games. It's just a good time. It is a good time. So shout out to Retro Bowl and all of the fun that they do. That's all the games I've played.
Good. Nice.
Enough of this game talk. Let's move in to the boob tube.
With more game talk.
Yeah, actually, TV. I'll mention one thing, and then I know that me and Jacob, I think, have watched the other thing, and I think a lot of people have watched the other thing. But I just want to talk about Copenhagen Cowboy. It came out on Netflix. That is Nicholas Wyland Refn's new show. If you remember, I think 2 years ago, I talked about Too Old to Die Young was his other show. It was exclusive to Amazon Prime. Loved that. I think that got my show of the year that year. This one is also incredible. It is not for everyone. It is incredibly slow. Just like, his other movies and Too Old to Die Young is like, people go, what did he do? He did it. But this, I think, adds even more that touch and that style of him because the show is about this girl named Miyu. And she is the protagonist, and the show starts, she's kind of been sold into like this sex trade with these other women. But she has like this kind of like supernatural power, and it takes place in Copenhagen, but it's kind of like a dream like surreal version of that place. It's like not even real Copenhagen. And so she has this power of like luck. So like the woman that like takes care of the women in this house, she's like, I want to keep you around because I want to get pregnant. She's like kind of like a much older lady. She's like, you can get me, you can help me to get pregnant and I can have a baby because you have luck. You have the power of luck. And like the people in this world kind of know what she is. And some people are like really frightened of her, and some people kind of know what is going on with her. but people don't like the whole like the show as it goes on. You're like, what is Miyu? Like, who is this thing? And it's very supernatural. There's horror elements in this. There's sci-fi elements in this. The show goes off the rails multiple times. The lighting in all of his movies, but in this one is like I'm just screaming watching the television because of just the cinematography and the world that this guy's created. He is the Kojima of movies. And I think that's why they team up a lot. And like with him being in Death Stranding and stuff, like I think they are on the same head space,
Yeah.
of just that supernatural, that in between, that David Lynchian stuff.
The only thing I would say is he doesn't get the commercial success that Kojima does.
No way. But it's so, and that's what I'm wondering, like with the stuff that he's jumping around and stuff. It's like people keeps giving him throwing money his way.
Yeah.
But and then you might like this because I know you liked Only God Forgives, Travis.
I did. Yeah. No, I was thinking about that while you were talking. About
the actor that was in that plays a pretty pivotal role in this show.
Which actor? The
Asian guy that was
the cop
that
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I obviously Drive was my entry point to his stuff, and I know he did Valhalla Rising, and what was it? What was the one? It's like a line of cocaine. Is the poster Pusher? I think
Pusher. So that's
a trilogy.
That's the Pusher trilogy, and I've only seen the first one. I need to watch the other two.
Yeah, like so he was like very dark cinema, and then Drive was like this breakthrough for him that really transcended, and it was his Fateful Findings, to use a Neil Breen. Like like it had the most the most universal appeal of his films.
Yeah.
And then Only God Forgives, I was at peak like ready to watch pretentious movies age. Like I was 19 or 20. I was living in Boston.
That was the peak one.
I would go see indie films like by myself, and like like I did that. So Only God Forgives was getting hyped, and I was so excited. And I remember after Only God Forgives, I was like, okay, so he's not going to make Drive over and over. No. And the weird parts of Drive are more so who he is than the commercial parts of Drive. Got it. And I remember just being like, that movie sticks with me, but like, I don't know if all of it worked for me, but that's fine. That's not why it exists. It's just this weird thing, and I like it. But then we watched Neon Demon, which I had similar feelings on, but it has cannibalism stuff in it, and the ending of that movie made me sick to my stomach.
I watched it with you.
I felt sick. Sick, and it's what happens at the end made me feel so sick. And that is a testament to him and the movie he made. Was I got so wrapped up in the scene and what they're doing and like what happens at the end of that movie, it made me feel so sick. It just like, have you ever eaten something and then you throw it up and you're like, I don't want to eat that anymore? That's how I felt about everything he's made since. And I actually really like him as a director, but like that, I can't I can't even think about that movie now. But I do want to.
There's nothing that gross in
it. I have a trigger warning for cannibalism after that movie. So if there's none of that, I will jump back in because I really like his style. And Neon Demon's not bad, but that just like super. And I get it. It was a great commentary on, eating the young and all this. But oh my God, dude.
But there's parts in this that are like a Metal Gear game, with just the characters and the way they look. I highly recommend it if you have the patience for any of his films. I think you can get through this, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about it because it's the soundtrack, the world they create. You're trying to figure out stuff, but it's really a turn all the lights out and like you're just in front of the screen kind of this movie. It's just go in the world. So.
Well, and Only God Forgives does something that I really like. It's very non-literal storytelling. It's about using the imagery of film to convey themes, right, and motifs. Lynch does that a ton with a lot of his movies. It's like, this is about how you're going to feel and what you're going to think. It's not as much about the plot and then Johnny met this person and did this. Whereas Drive is kind of more that way, and it goes that psycho realism at the end.
And that's heavily, he's more heavily as he's going on that, because I watched the behind the scenes. They put out a thing on YouTube. Netflix did a behind the scenes on this whole, it's like a 30-minute behind the scenes look on this show, and I loved it. I watched it today, and one of the like people that work in the cinematography or whatever is like, we don't frame for like characters and moment stuff. We frame for like the lighting and shapes. We just get colors and we like those colors and we just put those shapes and we just and you could see it in the thing. It's like very heavily like beautiful imagery, but like they're on their own wavelength. But
Yeah.
Copenhagen Cowboy. Cool.
Gotta check it out. That's cool.
The Last of Us. So we have been anticipating The Last of Us. Jacob's already given some claps. As there was like interviews before this was about to come out, and I was feeling a little nervous because there was like stuff like, oh yeah, the way that the virus spreads is different, like little kind of nuggets that were coming out, and I was like, uh-oh, like what are we doing? Because I feel like and I will put an asterisk, anything that's not an animated video game adaptation has sucked. I just think it has. Like every live action thing has not been good. That's been a video game.
You're right.
Across the board.
Yeah.
I even called out IGN on freaking Twitter because they've had articles like, there have video game adaptations have been good, and I was like, you're gaslighting me because this sucks. Sucks.
Yeah.
But I felt good about Last of Us. There was some stuff worried, but man, I am here to say I've been a day one since the first Last of Us came out. Gets my stamp of approval. This is awesome. They got the person behind Chernobyl, which another HBO show about Chernobyl. With Neil Druckmann came on board to help direct some episodes and give some direction on the show. And man, they knocked it out of the park. And I think what we've been waiting for in all of these video game adaptations or whatever, none of them, 0% that have come out, have respected the source material. You've got to bend the knee to that original game. You've got to treat it with some respect and hold it to sacred to some level. And none of them done that. They said, stupid video games. I like Space Invader and Pac-Man, and we're going to do something cool. And it's like, you got to look at that source material and respect it. And man, that first episode is like, and there's been other parts like this, but in the first episode, they are like 1-to-1 on certain moments that you remember in that intro of Last of Us.
Oh, they killed it. They absolutely obliterated
it's so close that it's like, okay, you're bending the knee. I feel like good about this. And also in that first episode, we just got to see incredible casting from all the characters. Pedro Pascal, I forgot the girl's name, but she's in Game of Thrones. Amazing casting on this. Knocked it out of the park. Like everyone, I haven't felt like, you should have got somebody else different. Like I'm really, really happy and pleased. I'm like, I just love this casting. The last time I felt that way was with Henry Cavill as Geralt. It's like, man, perfect casting. You can't think of anybody different. So man, they got that. And the things they have changed. So that was true. Like they changed how the virus spreads. And I think the key part of why they did that is they don't want the actors having gas masks on. It's like, hey, we want to see that emotion. Like this is more important for a TV and an audience. Like we can't just cover up versus a video game. And that's the most important thing is the things they changed are for the better, I think. And sometimes just better moments and
it makes for better TV.
It makes for better TV.
What you just said is key. Adaptation is where you take the same story, same characters, and you adapt and you make changes when it serves the medium you're moving to better. Not when you take the vague idea and write a new story. And so many things do that second one. Like, and that's awesome.
You got to take 2 seconds and go like, I don't want to spoil stuff because Travis, you haven't seen it, but
I'm gonna watch it this weekend.
Yeah, well, you remember like they had stuff with Bill, right? So Bill's stuff is so much different than the game, but in the game, what do you do with Bill? It's very cool as a video game. We got to get a battery. And you have to go and like get that far. And there's interesting dialogue there. And it works for a video game. It's awesome. But what they do in the TV show, 8 jillion times better for what a TV show is. And they lean into the strengths of TV so well that I was just having an amazing time. So we're 3 episodes in. I'm all caught up. And And I love that these are freaking weekly episodes because I've been having great discussions with people.
Yeah.
Like calling my friend and like, oh, we're talking about it and discussing the episode, what
I'm
we
team
liked.
weekly release in
Yes.
every way.
You get to zone in and everybody's on the same page and you get to sit on what you just saw with anticipation for the next episode, but you're like dissecting that one. Whereas when you're binging stuff and Netflix throws all 30 episodes of something on, you can discuss certain moments, but it's like I think you're losing that discussion piece and that community piece and the memes and stuff. You know what I mean? Like you're
talking
losing
about the endings. You're talking about like the highlights. You're not really talking about the smaller moments.
You're getting theories. People are getting theories of, and less so with I guess this game, but like just in general with TV. Like, oh, what do you think is going to happen? What are they going to do with this or whatever? But all that to be said, and me and Travis have talked about this too, but it did get confirmed that the second season is going to be more Last of Us Part 2. They're going to get into that story, which if we did you can check out on the channel, we did a 3.5 review, all three of us, about The Last of Us Part 2.
You should play it.
And one of my complaints, I was like, I think I would like this much more as a television show because of the reasons I even just said with this season.
Who would have
1.
predicted when you said that 2 years later that might be a reality? That's crazy.
I was like, this is crazy. This is a reality.
Yeah.
So here we are at the reality of we are going to see that adapted as a television show. Those moments that I said, no, we'll see. I would love to see this as a TV show. So we'll let you know when we get that far. But as of right now, amazing. Highly recommend it. It's cool seeing people that are not gamers, like not played this game or played through the game, experiencing the moments and stuff. And it's like, oh, you're going to be heartbroken when X or Y happens. You're going to be,
I'm excited to watch it with Jess because she doesn't know this story.
Yeah.
I know it pretty well, and so, they'll do some different things, but
Yeah. And last thing I'll say is it's a testament to how amazing the story of Last of Us is. It's like one of the best stories in video games. It is like they stuck this is the game. Like they're keeping with those story beats very close, especially in those first like 1-2 episodes and stuff. So
yeah,
it's a testament to like, hey, this was good writing. Like you did a good job, Naughty Dog. So it's cool to see it. Very cool.
Yeah, it's very good. And I do think like Travis, when you do watch it, I'd love to talk about it a little bit more on here, just to kind of like dive into the idea of it. All three of us are really dedicated to that game. I don't think there's a single one of us that say like, I mean, there's negatives to everything that we talk about every now and then, but with that game, it's been very good. So the TV show has been an experience because I've been watching it with my girlfriend and she's never played Last of Us or never even heard of it. So it's been interesting for her to kind of watch it and just be like, oh, like this is different and not know all the things that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Episode 3 is interesting in its own right. But I'd love to talk about it a little bit more because its concept is definitely different. So
it worked out perfectly for me because I just beat the remake on PS5.
Yeah.
So everything's very fresh in my mind. So at the end of each episode, I'm like, oh, they did this. Like I'm sitting there with my wife and I'm like, hey, this happened, they changed this, but I like this. Okay, I wonder how they're gonna do this because this happens, and I'm able to like very freshly like say like, oh,
me and Kenny got into it over episode 3 just because of a certain like there was an interaction that we lost because of the way they wrote episode 3.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, that's unfortunate because I think that interaction is a shaping moment. So again, Travis will have to watch it, and then when we get a chance to actually dive into it, we'll dive into it. But that was my biggest complaint about episode 3.
Well, I'll get caught up. So when we do the next podcast, we'll probably be on 8 or whatever like that. We can talk about that. But I think this is probably going to be worth a big long discussion, dedicated video when it's all done.
Yeah.
Here we go again.
This one will be 4 hours.
You should watch it. That's gonna be what we're gonna say.
Well, I've got to watch this.
You should watch it.
I've got to watch this because you better believe I'll be there for the start of season 2. That's a point of viewing right there.
What's funny is
I'll be on Twitter ready to go. Let's see how the world reacts.
Travis, you saw I had a friend the other day. We were talking about episode 2 of Last of Us, and he was just like, I just haven't wanted to go play it. And I'm like, dude, you're missing. Like, I'll tell you right now, you're missing out from it. And he was just like, well, I don't know. And he's the type of person to look up what happens. And he's like, I just haven't looked up what happened. And I heard it wasn't good. So I just haven't looked it up. And then he texted me on the side the other day. He's like, I looked it up and I'm really regretting looking it up.
Yeah.
And I was like, why didn't you just play it?
Just play it.
Just play it. But that's what I mean. Like I always tell people, just play the game. Like just play the game, make your own opinion. I'm not telling you what I think. Just play the dang game.
It's bringing renewed interest in the game. I think the sales have been up a lot.
That's why they remade it. That's
absolutely, dude. Hey, Sony's not dumb.
Yeah, they're not dumb. They're smarter than us.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll talk more about Last of Us in the coming of days. I was gonna go really quick, you guys, just let you guys know I've been watching a couple other things. I'm in anime land still. My Hero Academia dropped their 6th season. Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? It is one of those things that My Hero Academia is really good. It's a really good anime. If you guys are not watching it, I highly recommend it. It's a great watch. It's funny. It's action based. Has a good story. It's just one of your lovable animes that you should be watching. Season 6 drops, and it's one of those animes that like this is going and it's going. Season 5 was kind of drawing like my attention away a little bit. It got a little slow, trying to really hammer away some backstory behind the League of Villains. Season 6 says, boom, we're going and we're moving. And the best way for me to compare it to is like Attack on Titans, in terms of ramp up. So Zach, I kind of give you an idea of how quickly things just started to pick up. I finished season 6 yesterday, and I would say so far it is maybe my favorite season, maybe my second favorite. Season 1 has a lot of like love for me because I really like season 1, but it's up there right now. So
how many seasons is this going to be?
It's supposed to be getting close to the end, I think.
Okay. How many is it per? 10?
Yeah. So
I saw the first 2 episodes because I was over at Ian's one night, and he was like, I think you would like this. I loved those first 2 episodes. It's a very, like, I only watched 2 episodes, very, like, heartwarming and, like, very, you know, it wasn't just action. Like, there's a really good core, like, character and story to that I thought was really well done. Like, yeah, I really felt for the kid, you know?
Yeah,
the world is really cool and fun.
Yeah, I just don't know how people haven't, like, there's people who hate this show just because of the fans, and I don't care. Like, I'm not that big of an anime nut. But I will say this: if you haven't watched this, it should be on your list of things to watch. And
this and Attack on Titan are the 2 ones that I hear the most about.
Yeah, those are the 2 I think people should be watching right now. Like, absolutely. The other thing I've been watching, I talked about South Park on the last podcast, and you know what I said? I want to watch all the South Parks again. So I have committed my life to watching every single season of South Park again. And I cannot tell you the number of times I've come across an episode and I'll be like, oh, I know what happens here. And the number of times I can be like, I could quote what happens here, which just tells you I've watched a lot of South Park growing up. But I'm currently on season 11, and I'm flying through this, dude. It's because it's something like you put on and you just watch in the background because I already know what's going to happen. And there's been moments where I'm watching like, oh, like
you watch so much, like you've got to see 30 years of like stuff because it's like stuff from the 90s,
dude.
And it's probably like it's context that like you understand that, but could you imagine like a Gen Z kid watching that? It's like,
so
who the frick is this guy? You know what I mean? But it's like somebody in pop culture that's like not relevant anymore.
I think there's been so many things that like looking back on it went over my head. But like, for example, I came across the episode where they constantly called Tom Cruise a fudge packer. And that's like extremely like not okay. Like you don't do that. Like that's not like you do not. I'm saying this in the context of the show, guys.
Yeah, you're good.
I'll just make sure we're on the same page here. I'm not condoning this.
No,
but my point is, as a child, he was sitting at a conveyor belt packing fudge.
Yeah,
I didn't understand the concept in which they were saying until I became an adult, and I was like, "Wow, that's because I didn't know at the time people were making fun of saying that might be him." And I was like, "Dude, 1, that's messed up. 2, like." Holy crap, that's messed up. 3, that's kind of low-key funny messed up. So, like, it's one of those things where, like, this show has gotten away with so much. Like, and how? They said the S word over 300 times on national TV. And it got to the point where they were like, why are we censoring this word now? You know what I mean? Like, it's just the kind of stuff where I'm like, I'm impressed. I didn't know that they had 6 episodes banned on HBO Max. Like, they will not stream those episodes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. Episode 200 and 201, which apparently are like...
Wow, back to back, they were bad boys.
Well, the 4 that are banned is because they have Muhammad on there and they make fun of Muhammad.
They banned those episodes?
They banned them. They will not stream them.
I remember those. The whole point. Well, the whole joke. Those Family Guy.
Yes.
So in South Park, they make fun of Family Guy. So they watch fake Family Guy inside of South Park, and it's like crappy drawn, and the jokes are crappy. And then the joke in the South Park episode is that, hey, Family Guy's gonna really break the rules this week, guys. They're gonna show Muhammad.
Yeah, I remember that. Because that was
so you can't watch that episode.
No, I just found that out. But hold on, this is where it gets crazier because I don't remember this because as a child, like you watch these and just go through. I never saw episode 200 and 201. Episode 200 and 201 is based around. I went and looked it up. I have to find how to watch it because I've never seen them. It's based around. Basically, Muhammad got ticked that he got shown on TV that he went and got all of South Park's enemies, Tom Cruise, Cyber Streisand, all of these enemies, and formed a super villain league. And now they're all trying to go after South Park. And so, but the best part is they show Muhammad in these episodes, but Comedy Central wouldn't let them air it. So they had to air it with it censored. And so it pretty much hits every single peak point again. And it's all based around Muhammad. Yeah. So 4 of the episodes are censored because of Muhammad, but they'll show Jesus Christ. There's literally an episode I came across where Kyle, who is a Jew, stabs Jesus Christ in the neck and kills him so he can resurrect and save the world from an Easter bunny. And like, they do that, but they can't show Muhammad. Like, it's just the kind of stuff where it's like, man, this show got away.
Well, if we ever get on HBO Max, this episode's going to be banned that we're talking right now.
Yeah.
About them, so.
That's true. That is true.
Let us show it. This inspires me. I love South Park. I think they're comedy geniuses. Like they really are.
Do you know they got almost $1 billion to sign with Paramount?
They
got 900 million. No, I'm watching it via HBO Max. It's all going to, so Paramount's going to air. Basically, they gave them 900 million to create like 4 movies and all of their future seasons to go on Paramount.
They pay them $1 billion for more South Park.
That's how
years of South Park.
That's how powerful South Park has been.
They're geniuses. They're geniuses.
They are. Yeah, they've made bank, and they just don't care. Like that's my favorite part about them is they're like anything's on the table. It doesn't matter what it is. Like dude. Oh, you know what's amazing? Okay, last thing. I'm sorry. I'll stop blushing over it. So, in the new season, you guys know the character Token?
Yeah.
I think you talked about him.
Yeah, Token. He's the one black kid in South Park. In the new season, do you guys know his name's really Tolkien?
No.
It's really Tolkien.
So they've been calling him Token.
It's never been Token. It's always been Token.
Really?
You're just the guys that misheard it. It's always been Token. And so the whole episode is dedicated to Stan finding out that he's been calling Token the entire time. And it's hilarious. Really funny. Because he's like, yeah, my name's Tolkien. And then the parents are like, yeah, we named it after J.J.R. Tolkien because he's like our favorite guy. And he's like, so your name's not Token. No, it's Tolkien. Why would you always think it's Token?
That's good.
And it's like, yeah. It was absolutely genius.
Well, my favorite episode that I would always go back to is the one where it's like Dawn of the Dead, but instead of zombies, it's all the homeless people coming into their town, and they can't get rid of them. And they feed them, and then more of them come, and they're holed up in the mall, and then they get in. If you've ever seen Dawn of the Dead, they get in that van to drive, and they're driving over all the homeless people trying to get out.
It's so funny because I remember that episode, and the guy they saved a bunch of people in the mall, and he gets a phone call. One of the random dude gets a phone call. And he's like, "We just lost our house. Like all the markets crashed. I'm homeless," and they all start screaming, and they hold a gun to him. Like, no, I'm not. He's like, "I'm not that kind of homeless," and they sit him down. And
he's like, but dude, does anybody have some change? Does anybody have some change?
And he shoot him.
And he shoots him in the face.
There is. Oh my gosh, South Park is hysterical, guys. It is absolutely just top tier comedy. So
it's great.
Yeah, I've been watching through it. It's been a good time.
I've been watching one show. I watched 3 seasons of a show called The Good Place, and my wife and I were on the 4th season. Picked it randomly, just was looking for something. I just thought it was going to be like a 30-minute comedy show with like New Girl or something like that. But when it starts, it's actually more of a concept. So basically, the idea is this girl, Kristen Bell, she wakes up and she finds out she was dead. And she finds out that she's been put in the good place. So she's in this town with 150 other people that are in the good place. And she's kind of walking around, okay. And then stuff starts going wrong. And then she, you're paired with like your soulmate there. So she gets paired with this guy. His name's Cheaty, and they're soulmates. And he's like this professor of ethics or whatever. And she's like, okay, okay. And things are going bad. And she's like, I need to tell you something. I know for sure I'm not supposed to be here because the person they said I am when I came here is not who I am. I'm here by mistake. And basically, it's all these crazy layers of like what the afterlife is like. Like they kind of go into what their lives were like before they died, but more for comedy. And then they leave that place, and there's all these crazy plot twists. And it kind of reminded me of like a Lost or a Leftovers, but more of like a comedy and just more played for laughs and shorter and lighter and kind of jumping around. Yeah, kind of like funny leftovers. But we have just blown through 3 seasons of that show. They're like 10 or 12 episodes each, nice and short, and really fun comedy. The first couple episodes, I was like, I don't know, I'll give this 3 episodes. But they kept the plot twist coming, and I was like, I like this. And then the characters really grow on you, and really funny show. So I've been enjoying that.
Nice.
Cool.
Yep. That's it in terms of shows, though.
Yeah. I watched with my wife on the movie side of things, Glass Onion. This was the next Knives Out, or it's called Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. So it's another Knives Out from Rian Johnson, right?
Yep.
Isn't he the one? Yeah, that's making these. So I really liked Knives Out. Was a fun, like, whodunit kind of movie. Great time. And Glass Onion came out, and we watched that. And I liked it, but is it okay if I spoil the first 10 minutes? Because something that they did is I had a bad feeling about it, and it never comes up again.
I think I know what it is. I'm going to watch it, but if it's first 10 minutes, that's fine.
Okay. The movie starts, and freaking, what's the guy, the James Bond guy? Because he's the main.
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig is on Zoom. And he's doing a Zoom call.
Yeah.
And he's playing Among Us with people on it. And they're doing Zoom, and then they get called to this, like the part of the mystery and stuff. They get invited to this place or whatever else. But everyone's wearing a mask for COVID stuff. And so it's all like COVID, like, stuff that happened, like Among Us was popular then, and Zoom, whatever. And they're doing all this, and they're going the extra mile with all this COVID stuff. And then when they're about to get to the place they're about to go to, this guy, when they start like they get all these people there, they give them like a shot. They give them a shot. They're like, okay, and you can take the mask off now. You're good. And for the rest of the thing, they have to wear the mask. And from that point on, the movie's like, it's like another Knives Out thing, and it's fine. But then when the movie ended, I was like, why did they do that? They took 20 minutes and really leaned into that to the point where they never talking about it again. Like, they created this problem, and then they fixed it, and then they never talk about it. That's 20 minutes. That's like 15 minutes, I'll say, of the movie. And I'm not against, because I think there was a discussion of like, do we talk about COVID in movies? Like, is that too soon, or is that even like worth it? And I'm not against it if it leads into something with the movie, or like, for example, like we've been talking about this, me and my wife afterwards, is like, if they did a movie that happened in 2001, in November of 2001, you might mention 9/11.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like that might be part of
It's relevant.
of that entire feeling of that movie. And that's what I thought this was kind of be like. Is this going to kind of commentate on stuff, or is this whatever? Nope. It's like it happens, and they never return to it, and the credits roll, and I'm like, why the frick did they spend 15 minutes Probably millions of
Well,
dollars.
in a
to film
movie,
all
like
this.
every moment is precious. I'll have to watch it and see my take on it, but that is hilarious.
It's absolutely worthless that they did that. So I'm not, like I said, I'm not against them like having COVID stuff and that time
Yeah.
period and
But if
using
it's
it as a
not
plot device.
serving the story, what's
I
the
don't know. I'm wondering if they. Part of me wonders if they were doing all the mask stuff because they filmed it during COVID stuff, and they didn't know if they were going to able to finish it, and they thought that was a way to get through some of the restrictions, and then it wasn't. So that guy just showed up because that guy does it, and they're like, "What was that?" And he's like, "You don't have to wear a mask now." And like that's all they explain it away. It's like a super vaccine. Pfizer shows up. and you're
what a
done.
weird pacing plot hurdle
Yeah.
thing to just inject
Yeah,
into the first 20
they
minutes
built
of your
a
movie.
hurdle and then they jumped over it and they never talked about the hurdle again.
moved on.
But aside from that, the movie was enjoyable. There were some jokes I was just like, I'm not like whatever. But the cast is funny and they have a good cast, and the stuff that they're trying to do is funny. But that was Glass Onion.
So I watched a movie called A Man Called Otto. The Hankathon continues, Zach.
The Hankathon. I have passed the baton over. The not the baton. The Haton.
The Haton.
The
And
Haton.
I'm taking the Haton, and I'm glad to announce that A Man Called Otto. And I'm going to give you a trigger warning. It's still, I recommend everybody go see it, but there's a trigger warning. So if you're listening right now,
When did this come out?
it just came out. It just
Okay.
came out maybe like 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
It's released. But yeah, trigger warning. So if you're listening and you struggle with depression or suicidal thoughts or anything like that, if you want to skip over this, I would recommend skipping over this, because that's what the movie is about. We come in on a man who wants to kill himself, and he is
Tom
old.
Hanks.
Yes, Tom Hanks. It's Tom Hanks. He is an old man who is just trying to find a way to just kill himself, and that's the entire movie. And it's him dealing with that.
Wow.
And
I didn't hear anything about the movie.
it is an incredible movie.
Oh, nice.
It's one of those movies I walked away like, this movie deserves awards. Like, the acting is phenomenal. It has a beautiful. I mean, I cried. I cried in the theater at the end. I was just like, that is such a beautiful movie. And it was just one of those things where I was like, I didn't expect that, because like my girlfriend, I'm sitting next to her and she's like, hey, I should probably tell you. She read the book the movie's based on. And
Yeah.
she's like, there's something that's going to happen and you might not be ready for it.
Hmm.
And I'm like, really? And she's like, it's actually going to happen like a few times. And it happened. And I was just like, and I'm looking around like, is anyone else going to stop this? Like, I was just like, this is happening right now in a movie. And yeah, it was crazy. It was absolutely mind bonker. Like,
Wow. Tom Hanks
Ooh.
jacks off.
So it's A Man Called Otto. But yeah, I described to her, I haven't felt that way leaving a theater since I've seen Joker.
Is
in
this
like
a new movie?
It is a newer movie, yes.
Oh.
I will watch it because it's part of the Hankathon, and I will jump back on the Hankathon with that.
Yeah, I highly recommend you. I will say this, coming from me, you two should go see it.
Okay.
Knowing who you two are.
Okay.
But again, like if you guys are sitting there and you might struggle with this, it might be a little jarring if
I'll
I'm just
check
being
this
completely
out.
honest.
Gotcha.
I'll check
Hankathon.
this out.
Yeah, it was a really good
A Man
movie.
Called Otto. Cool.
A Man Called Otto. So highly
Or
recommend
sad.
it. Or sad. Or cool. How do you know? Like,
I give
again-
it the Hank. Do you give it the Hank stamp of approval?
Oh, absolutely. He kills it.
You give it the
I mean-
Hank Yank.
Yeah, I will give it the old Hank yank. It deserves
Sounds
a
like
good
he gave
yank.
the old Hank yank too.
Yeah, it deserves a good yank of a Hank. So yeah, highly recommend it. You two should check it out. Tell me what you think.
Nice.
Okay. Good. Awesome recommendation. I watched Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, and Two Towers. Those are amazing movies. I only really bring them up to ask Jacob why he hasn't watched these yet. Like, dude, get with the program. Zach,
Get
would
with
you
the
agree?
program.
Zach, would you agree? These are fundamental movies that Jacob would love.
These are cinematic masterpieces. Yeah, they're just.
I'll tell you what.
They're like must-watch movies. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
just.
I'll tell you what. I'll watch them. I'll give you that deal, Travis. You ready? I need Zach to admit he's wrong and that he lost the Google Stadia bet.
I guess you're never going to be watching Lord of the Rings: The Fellowship.
If you can get Zach to agree that he's wrong, I'll watch him.
No.
I mean, I've been trying that a long time. So.
I just be honest with you, it's something it comes
you have
in
to dedicate
very
a day to it. Like
Jacob, since the last time we talked 27 days ago, you've watched 11 seasons of South Park.
That is true.
But it's different. It's so different. Like it's literally I'm watching turds develop. Like that's just all I can really say. Like if I watch Lord of the Rings, which I will give it credit, it is a great franchise that probably deserves my attention because
watch
I
it
love
with your
fantasy.
girlfriend. Say, hey, let's check out Lord of the Rings. Let's watch it together.
I don't think she would want. I can ask her.
Wait,
but
she said she read the Hank book. She's probably read the Lord of the Rings.
Just watch Fellowship of the Ring. If you don't like it, then stop.
She probably is into this.
Wait, hold on. I thought I don't start with The Hobbit.
No.
Don't even watch those.
Never watch those. I don't watch those.
I thought those were canon.
They
just
are.
Never.
But just read the book.
No,
I guess someday.
They're not relevant to anything. Just
watch Lord of the Rings. The first one, second one, third one. There you go.
It's like Star Wars. Just go watch. You can just start with Star Wars. You don't have to start with Phantom Menace. It's the same thing. Don't.
Don't. I will make a sacrifice about it and let you know.
Okay.
I don't know what that means.
He's gonna hank his yank.
I'm gonna get my Switch jacked off.
Oh gosh, man! What the? It's getting late, man.
It is getting late, but
we're not monetizing this episode.
Oh God, no! It's not even close. Hey, thank you for your monetization. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your monopia.
Thank you for your monopia.
Where's my Hanka yank? I need a Coco. Give me my Hanka yank.
Yeah. Whoa. What? Well, on that note, I've got to go hank my yank, as they say, which is mean logging off. Check us out on Twitter, DweeBros on there. We also have a Discord, which I haven't mentioned in a while. We'll have a link to that in the description.
Drop your favorite Hanka yank meme in the Discord.
Yeah. Or censor it. You might
censor it, like Muhammad. Yeah. Send your favorite censored picture of Muhammad.
Yeah, I've been putting on our Discord just me putting action figure. If you want to see a bunch of weird action figures, I got Kirby, and I've never had an action figure shock me, but an action figure shocked me. It's the Kirby, and it's him, and he has different faces you could take off, but he had all these different parts, and I moved his foot, and I thought I could take it off. It's magnets all around his body. And I have to literally this made my jaw drop when I got this. But his hands and his feet are all one piece, and it moves around. That's a magnet on there. And I thought that was the craziest, cutest, freaking most adorable thing on there. But if join the Discord to see more content like this.
That's a good little bit of engineering. That's smart.
Yeah, I thought
cool,
I saw that and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the cutest, freaking coolest thing. But that's what we're going on there. You might see some Hank yanks. You might get lucky. Yank your Hank on there. To my Kirby.
We would probably take the Discord down.
Yank your Hank to my Kirby is all I say.
We got Twitter.
We do have that Twitter. We have YouTube. Subscribe if you like this. Like it. Do all the fun stuff.
Help the algorithm, people.
And every Thursday at 7 p.m., me, Pierce, and Matt, we stream a different game. We played through all of Resident Evil 4, and then we kind of jumped around to different games. We've completed it. We will be getting to our next game soon. We're going to play from beginning to end. We haven't announced that yet. But I think the next game we're doing soon, you might have already seen it by this point, Seasons, A Letter to the Future, the indie game. It's coming to PlayStation and all that. Be the next game we're playing on there. Just checking it out. Not beating it. Anything else from you guys you want to announce or talk about?
No, I'll post the link to my game I released in the Discord, and I'll put it in the description too when it's available. So
check that out.
I'll watch episode 200 and 201 of South Park and let you know what happens.
Ooh, nice. Banned.
Don't tell HBO.
Yeah.
VPN it.
All right, everybody go and
have a good night.
Yank your Hank. Good night.
Have a good Hank yank.